Why was amateurism so hard to define in the Olympics? Imagine a world where athletes compete not for money, but just for the love of the game. That was the idea behind amateurism in the Olympics. It was meant to keep the spirit pure and fair. But in reality, defining what made someone an amateur was anything but simple. At first, the rules said athletes couldn't get paid for playing sports or coaching. If they had ever received money, they were considered professionals and not allowed to compete. This made sense to some because it kept the focus on passion and not profit. But it also meant wealthy athletes, who could afford to train without earning money, had an unfair advantage. They didn't need to work or earn a living, so they could focus entirely on their sport. Different countries had different ideas about what counted as amateur. For example, in some places, athletes could receive support from their families or local clubs without losing amateur status. But in other countries, even small payments or gifts could disqualify someone. This created a confusing situation where an athlete from one country might be considered an amateur, but from another, they might be seen as a professional. Then came the rise of television and sponsorships. As the Olympics grew in popularity, companies wanted to advertise through sports stars. Athletes started earning money from endorsements and sponsorship deals. This blurred the line even more. Some athletes trained full-time with government support, especially from countries like the Soviet Union and other Eastern Bloc nations. They received state funding, making them seem like professionals, even though they were officially amateurs. One famous case was Jim Thorpe, a Native American athlete who won gold medals in the early 1900s. Later, it was found he had played semi-professional baseball and had received payment. His medals were taken away because of the strict amateur rules. This incident showed how unfair and inconsistent the system was. Over time, these issues made it clear that defining amateurism was impossible to do fairly. The rules kept changing, and many athletes found themselves caught in gray areas. By the late 20th century, the Olympic movement decided to drop the amateur requirement altogether. The idea was to focus on the Olympic spirit and values, fair play, respect, and striving for excellence, without the strict rules about money. But the challenge was that the original goal of keeping sports pure was hard to maintain when the world's economic and cultural differences kept influencing who could compete. That's why amateurism in the Olympics was so difficult to pin down.